All right, folks, red alert. We are entering a heightened state of watchfulness as it relates to World War III. And this is the beginnings of sorrows. This is the Revelation chapter 6, the four horsemen of the apocalypse writing, I believe. I think it ramps up to that. And what are they going to do? They're going to take out our communications and our eyes and our ears in the sky by way of satellites. And this is how it's going to go down. And we're looking at war in 2024. And of course, war started, when Russia started doing a drill on Ukraine's eastern border. And indeed, Russia just said, "Oh, it's a drill. We're not going to attack." And what did they do? Well, they ultimately invaded. Well, now they have nuclear weapon test and deployment drill on the eastern border with Ukraine. And what's Russia saying? Well, it's just a drill, just for training purposes. You don't think they're going to make that go live? I think they are, and they've also got satellite killers in space. Supposedly, we're going to take a look at that. Let's take a look at this article here. This is on Reason.com. World War III may already have started, and yes, those in the prepping space, Bible prophecy space, we've been saying that for a while. It indeed did start. NATO has been involved with Ukraine since the very beginning, maybe just tactically, strategy-wise in Ukraine, but now with boots on the ground, now fully financing and providing weapons and ammunition for the war against Russia, and also, of course, in the Middle East with Israel and Iran. But this is interesting. Cyber intrusions, arson, bombings, and other mayhem feature in the conflict between the East and the West. Now, tell me if you recognize some of the things they list here. Britain signals intelligence spy chief raised eyebrows this week, warning that Russia is coordinating cyber attacks, physical acts of sabotage against the West. Remember all those poultry farms catching on fire? Maybe those mysterious pipeline explosions. Remember, ships crashing into bridges? All coincidence, of course, right? All plausibly deniable by anybody. Interesting that they're happening now. All the train derailments, and everybody, even in mainstream, even just everybody is writing these off as well. It's a coincidence. It's a one-off. These happen every year. Sure they do, but do they happen in the same numbers and as frequently as they are now? Cyber attacks and physical attacks. It says there's evidence to back their claims, and the West may be returning the favor. They completely are, and I said this before. Russia is attacking the United States and NATO, Western nations, with all sorts of cyber attacks and other physical attacks of sabotage. Likewise, the U.S. and NATO is attacking Russia. Did I say that both ways? Anyways, West is attacking Russia, and Russia is attacking the West. Coming soon after FBI Director Christopher Wray warned that China is targeting American infrastructure. So, by the way, do you have anything made in China in your house? A router, maybe? That is basically a backdoor into your house, and I have one too. I have a Tenda wireless router. It's sitting there. It very likely has an easy backdoor, and if not, it's easily hackable by brute force to get into its interface. I know that, and they can shut it down. They can, attack any of our computer systems, whatever we have behind the network. That's all open. There's not a lot we can do other than creating a literal air gap, and that's what they do with nuclear power plants and sensitive military sites. They make an air gap where there is no physical wire connected to any computers there, so you literally have to take a USB stick in, and that's how Israel deployed Stuxnet with Iran. They got someone to actually plug in a USB stick. But there's not a lot you can do because everybody has something made in China, and if China was thinking from the beginning, and they have been, they would be coming up with all sorts of ways to do cyber attacks and to get in backdoors and to create backdoors for all the products that they're making. A lot of products also require cloud access back to Chinese servers, so they're collecting all sorts of data as well, and that data not only is potentially used for fraud, but also to know where you are, when you are there, if you're in the house, if you're not in the house, your daily comings and goings. It's tracking all that, and your phone is tracking all that, and also being used by Western intelligence sources too, by the way. So pay attention to what sort of electronics you have. Everybody has a cell phone. I don't have a cell phone myself. You should stay away from that if you can. Just go old school. Use a map in your car. You don't need to use electronics, but of course in this day and age it's very hard. It says it looks like the world is not only fracturing once again, but hostile blocs are engaged in a covert war. We are in a Cold War, and that's for sure. This is World War III. This is an asymmetric war, and it's completely different than World War II and World War I. It's fought with drones, artificial intelligence, space-based weapon systems, eyes and ears in space, satellites, all these things. This is the news from War News 247. Russia mobilizes its entire arsenal, targeted U.S. satellites, U.S. 314 and USA 326, with a space weapon. This is what Pentagon is saying, and the Pentagon may be accurate with this information that Russia is targeting U.S. satellites. Likely also the case, if the U.S. military had half a brain cell, you would know that they also have satellite killers in their arsenal because they would have thought of this in their wargaming. So red alert, second step after tactical nuclear weapons. So this is the red alert for you coming from Russia. The buildup of nuclear weapons on the border with Ukraine, and potentially nuclear weapons or at least satellite killers in the sky as we speak. A Russian space weapon has targeted the U.S. surveillance satellites, USA 314, USA 326, and other satellites in low Earth orbit, U.S. administration announced in a press conference. The Russian anti-satellite weapon was recently launched. The targeting of American satellites may indicate that their involvement on the Ukrainian front. So are they being used to help Ukraine? This is probably what Russia's going after first. Any eyes and ears for Ukraine, because that's a quote unquote legitimate war target. In war, especially World War III, I don't know if there is any rules of warfare. When it comes right down to it, there are no rules in warfare. But I think they're trying to stick to a playbook for now, and if they find satellites are providing information to Ukrainian forces, they're going to go after it, and probably rightly so, right? Like if in war, I would expect the enemy, or I would expect quote unquote our side to go after all components that are promoting and supporting the war, and so that's what Russia is doing. This is the second step that shows Moscow is preparing for a full-scale war with NATO. Remember, when full-scale war starts, communications going down will be the first thing. The satellites will be blown out of the sky, our eyes and ears, militarily speaking, and cell phone networks will be taken down. The country will be in disarray. There will be confusion. It will be Mad Max, so much so that the confusion on the ground is worse enough that the government has enough trouble dealing with the citizens, let alone trying to fight a battle with Russia. And this is the easy way to take down a country: destroy it economically and take all its technology away by EMP, whatever it may be. It says, we remind you that the day before Russia deployed its tactical nuclear forces, a fact shows that it is on red alert. So you can take that for what it's worth. Russia last week launched a satellite that U.S. intelligence officials believe is a weapon capable of inspecting, quote unquote, and attacking other satellites. We observe nominal activity and believe it is likely that an anti-space weapon that is possibly capable of attacking other satellites is in low Earth orbit. And this is from a Reuters article from U.S. Spacecom. So likely, this is distributed. This is going to be the narrative that's put out to mainstream media news. Reuters related to this, and while it's likely true, there's likely a shred of evidence there. A portion of it is true. I think what is also likely true is that the U.S. also has satellite killing satellites, or methods to deal with them, whether they're laser weapons or what have you. It would be silly for U.S. not to have thought about this, and they have. That's what they do. They sit around desks and think about this all day long, so they're going to have countermeasures in place. But U.S. is blaming Russia first with it. Russia has developed this new anti-space weapon in the same orbit as a U.S. government satellite. So it's almost as if they put the satellite in there. It's in the same circular path or orbit of the satellite, and it's just trailing it. It's just kind of flying behind it, if you will. as the U.S. Satellite circles the Earth. And at the command of the Russians, supposedly, or, maybe it'll send out an EMP, or they have a laser on board, or they have some other, even shining a less than military grade laser on a satellite is likely enough to kind of get it spinning out of control, or put it out of orbit, or just kind of give it a nudge, which could cause it heading in towards the Earth and getting pulled in by gravity. So I don't think you need a lot of force, and a laser would be an easy way to do that, I believe. Let's see. It says Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Russia's actions in space were consistent with international law. He added that Russia has repeatedly proposed a ban on all weapons in space, and Washington has rejected its proposals. Why has Washington rejected it? Well, that's because Washington has weapons in space that can take out other satellites. And Russia's just saying this because it's the right thing to say, quote unquote. But both sides have satellite-killing satellites in space. For his part, the top diplomat for Russia's armaments dismissed as fake news Washington's claim that Russia launched a weapon in low Earth orbit that can inspect and attack other satellites. Now, there's several videos from Twitter, folks talking about this and such. Suffice it to say, I think both sides have these satellite-killing satellites that can go up there and do what they need to do to take out the eyes, the ears, the communications of the opposing country or countries. And that's exactly what's happening here. So red alert for tactical nukes and basically comms going down. Remember, I've been saying that's the first thing that's going to happen when World War III kicks off. The lights are going to go out. Eyes and ears are going to be shut off. Cell phones are likely not going to work. You're not going to be able to get your information. And that's why it's important to have comms, ham radio, FRS units, CB radios, in Faraday cages, ideally. And then even more importantly is to have a local community where you can shake your neighbor's hand, you can talk to them in person, out of distance of electronics, and certainly without the need of electronics, so that you can get a little bartering and trade and other things and help done during this time. I think it will go Mad Max at a point in time, and it will be a lawless society. Society will degrade so quickly when this happens, folks. And I believe that's why the Antichrist comes, and people are willing to accept the Antichrist, because people are desperate at that point, because there's been probably a massive, maybe millions of people killed during this period, and they're willing to accept whatever just to get peace, and security. When they call for peace and security, as the Bible says, that's because there's World War III going on, and it's Mad Max, complete lawless society. So I'll end with this. This is an article coming out of the UK. And this is part of the problem with Western countries. They're getting rid of the Christians, and the Christians don't want to, be part of the political system because there is huge pressure and persecution. UK police weaponize, have you heard that before? Weaponize their political opponents, and also weaponizing their authority, seeking to root out Christian council member. So if you repeat a verse of the Bible or speak something against the current woke culture, whatever it may be, the police in the UK are coming for you, folks. Hate speech, that's what it's called. In Canada, we are, the government is trying to push through a similar thing, hate speech. If you speak against LGBTQ, whatever, you could go to jail for hate speech, or you could be fined for hate speech. This is going to be a massive chilling effect on any sort of free speech. The fact that you could say anything and the government can send you to jail for it is absolutely insane. And this is where we're going, folks. Just prior to World War III, just prior to the Antichrist being revealed, great and massive persecution, and the removing of Christians, which then just further degrades society, the culture, and the political system overall. And you have societies failing because of lack of Christians and the faithful in power, and bringing morality to the system. So, folks, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Red alert as it relates to nuclear weapons and space-based telecommunications and potentially EMP and nuclear weapons on these satellites. Be prepared. I think Russia, they were bluffing before, and they went ahead. They went live with their buildup on the border of Ukraine. They're there again with a buildup of nuclear weapons. I think they will likely go live again. The military doctrine, escalate to de-escalate. That's what the nuclear weapons used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki were. Escalate the war to de-escalate. Kill so many humans, make it such a big deal and such a massive psychological threat that the country just wants to give up and wave the red flag. And could that be what Russia is thinking of doing right now? Because as soon as the Americans get whiff of nuclear weapons, they're not going to be interested in all-out war. So it might be a good tactic by Russia to do such a thing. So I'll leave there, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.